Hello there. Are you sure you're in the right place? See the name on the door? This podcast is Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. Surely you don't want to come in here. You do. Well, I must warn you that things are pretty adult in here. Absolutely no children are allowed. Obscene language, shocking and horrendous stories to chill you to your core, and terrifying tales that'll keep you up at night. The ladies inside aren't quite right. Lovely and hilarious, but very strange. Still want in, do you? Well, you'll get what you're here for. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. I'm Becky.
I'm Tash.
And I'm Emma. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I've got really bad intrusive thought right now. And I've been having it for the past 20 minutes since we started talking. And it is to squirt this hair mousse up my nose and see what happens.
It would hurt. It would sting.
Don't do that.
I want to do it. I want to do it so bad. Because I feel like it's going to be like, you know, those videos of people that put like cleaning mousse down sinks and it like comes out. I feel like that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it'd come out your nostril.
And I know it's probably going to go in my lungs, so I won't do it. But I really...
Well, unless you breathe in as you snort the mousse, I'm sure it won't go
hair mousse.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd really hurt your nose.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, but it's taken a lot.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, girl.
I'm just thinking about
it. We'll get a message later after recording.
I did it. I did it.
Oh, dear me.
Oh.
Are you okay?
Well, is Tasha okay? She's got a snort mousse.
I'll let you guys decide that one.
I'd say she's fine. Everybody has intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Becky, you good?
I'm fine. Fine.
Stifling
bit tired?
yawn.
Bit of a yawn there. I was trying to stifle it.
Oh, it's catching.
No, that was a burp. I thought it was a yawn, but it was a burp.
Oh, well, just before we started the podcast, you'll hear a very guttural burp that you could hear it come up from down below, just to say hello. Yeah, it went.
Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to ask you: do you ever get like farts, but they don't actually come out? It's like a gurgly tummy, but it's like really low, and you can almost feel it, but it's not coming out of your arse. It's just all in your bubbly guts. Do you ever get that?
Yeah, but I think that's normal. I think that's your gut doing what it's meant to do.
Yeah, probably. But it's really embarrassing if you're like watching TV and like your husband's got his hand on your ass and all of a sudden you get one of those pop, like fart noises.
On your arse cheek?
Yeah, not like his finger at my arse. No, but like, you know, when we watch...
You can watch TV however you like. Finger up the arse and then finger up the arse.
We're not judging.
Who are we to judge?
Come on, Ben, put curry on and get that finger lubed up.
We'll go middle finger tonight. Yeah, middle finger? Oh. Switch it up.
No, like, just a hand lovingly on your bottom.
Yeah.
And your tummy does that blurby thing. And I'm like, it wasn't a fart. That was just my tummy.
I would die because I've not been in a relationship with anyone for such a long time where that would be acceptable to fart. So any weird noise my body makes, I find embarrassing.
Yeah, fair enough. I hate it though, because you've got literally no control. At least with a fart, you can control it.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, but it's worse when you hold it in because then it makes that rumbling noise.
That's the rumbling noise. It's like a held-in fart. That's
so are
it.
you trying not to fart and then it's doing that? Just let it
No.
go, babe.
Yeah, you haven't farted in front of Ben, so what do you mean you're not trying to hold them in?
I mean, we have made progress. Because I did nearly shit myself in front of him at the beginning of the week.
Did you not shit when you gave birth, though? So
I don't know. I had an epidural, so I couldn't feel what was going on. And it's not been mentioned.
I just assume I did. Like, I don't know if I did. I just assume I did.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know a baby came out. I know placenta came out.
Oh, yeah, when that goes... yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And at that point, to be honest, I mean, it's a bit like at the beginning of the week, I had a really, really nasty tummy bug and I was literally projectile vomiting up the wall while saying, I'm gonna poo. And I couldn't move. It was horrendous. I was just going, help me. I'm such a baby.
Oh, no. When you got a tummy bug, though, stomach flu, it's horrible. You want your mum. That's what you want. You're like, oh, mum. You know.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Get the family sick bowl out.
Yeah. But to be fair, I was sick up the wall. It was his fault because I said, Ben, I'm going to be sick. Give me a bowl. And he
wasn't quick enough.
He went to wash it up.
Fucking hell.
He started washing it up. And now it was considerate because he was like, you feel poorly.
We've just made tuna in this.
Yeah, you probably don't want this, rank bowl. But at that point, I was past caring. Anyway, up the wall went the vomit. And I did manage not to shit myself, although I did lose all dignity as he picked me up to put me on the toilet.
That's romance.
That's romance for you.
I once did a shot on a first date and coughed and it came up my nose.
Oh, I bet that stung.
Yeah.
I bet that was awful.
We're still quite good. We're really good friends now still, so it's fine. But, yeah, that was awkward.
What type of, was it a coffee? What flavour was the shot? Do you remember?
Was it actually a rose tequila, which is basically strawberry milkshake and not my favourite, I'll be honest.
Oh, it makes it worse. Worse that it was milky.
Yeah. I still did another one, so it's fine.
Did you manage to keep it out your nostrils?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
God, we're all about your nostrils today. Your nostrils, my arse. Becky, do you want to talk about a body part? Tits okay?
Tits are great, as always.
Tits are great.
Always on point. Always on point. Anyway, shall we get on to our stories?
Go on then. Give us some true crime.
Okay. Well, because this is the last time we're recording before Christmas.
It is. We haven't actually spoken about Christmas at all.
Yeah,
but
so
yes.
This is the last time that we're recording before Christmas. So it's got a little wink to Christmas, a little clin d'oeil, a little winky wink.
A little nod, if you will.
A little a festive nod, a little bit of jingle. There was one Christmas murder that I'll probably do next year, but I just couldn't be doing with it this year. It was just too heavy. I mean, this still isn't very nice, but it was way too much was the other story. So maybe
in all fairness, we have just done Ed Gein, who still is in my brain.
Yeah. I did struggle a little bit to find what I wanted to do. So I was just like, I can't be coping with this. I kept finding the most horrific stories, and I'm like, oh, I can't be doing with this. Even though that's kind of my job.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if you're on the right podcast, love.
It's just this week. Just this week. I just needed. Well, this still isn't very nice. It's still horrible. Right. So let's get to it.
Everybody needs a break after Eenie. What did you call him? Geenie Beanie?
Geenie Beanie.
Geenie
Can't
Beanie.
remember calling him that.
You did a lot of rhyming last recording.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. I get a bit excited and then don't stop talking. Right, so.
Get a bit excited.
Right, so for nearly 4 decades, travellers along Route 16 near Fayetteville, which I think that's how that's pronounced, West Virginia, were greeted by a haunting sight. a weathered billboard bearing the grainy, solemn faces of 5 children. Maurice, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5. Beneath their photographs, a single question hung heavy in the air. What was their fate? Kidnapped, murdered, or are they still alive?
Oh my God, Becky!
Yeah, so when if you think this one, how bad was the other story if this is still like this?
If you thought, yeah, let's do the kiddie one.
Yeah, let's do a bit of kiddie murder to get away from the bad stuff. Oh, horrible.
Okay, go on. I'm braced.
In the small Appalachian town of Fayetteville was a typical small town where gossip often weighed heavier than fact.
Mm.
In the case of the Sodder family, those rumours would drown out hard evidence, leaving a chilling mystery in their wake, even decades later. What everyone did agree on was the tragedy that unfolded on Christmas Eve 1945. So it's an oldie for you, Emma.
Yeah.
It wasn't done in 2006. It's an oldie
Still
one.
kids, though. Kids are rough.
Kids are rough.
I won 2006 was 18 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, so...
Fuck off and shut up.
Oh, and in 6 years' time, the 80s would be 50 years ago.
I don't like any of what's coming out of your mouth.
Okay, well, it's going to continue. That's going to be a continued theme. You're not going to like any of this. So, on Christmas Eve, 1945, George and Jenny Sodder gathered 9 of their 10 children to celebrate the holiday. Their eldest son was away on military duty, and he was the only one that was absent. By all account, it was a joyful evening, full of warmth and laughter. However, that warmth would turn deadly in the early hours of Christmas morning when a fire consumed their home, tearing through their lives. When the flames erupted around 1 a.m., chaos swallowed the Sodder household. George and Jenny, along with 4 of their children, managed to escape the inferno. But the other 5, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, seemed to just vanish without a trace. They didn't seem to be even in the house. George's frantic attempts to rescue them became the stuff of became like legend in the area. He shattered a window to re-enter the burning house, slicing his arm open in the process. Inside, he found only choking smoke and an impenetrable wall of fire. He screamed their names, his voice raw with desperation and breaking with the dry air, but there was no response. Outside, he tried every plan he could think of. The ladder he always kept propped up against the house was inexplicably missing. The rain barrel was frozen solid. Neither of his coal trucks, which had worked perfectly the day before, would start, so neither of his cars that he had.
Yeah.
Marion, his 17-year-old daughter, raced to a neighbour's house to call the fire department, only to find the operator unresponsive. No one was there.
What the fuck?
A desperate neighbour drove into town to wake the fire chief, but Fayetteville's volunteer fire department didn't arrive until 8 a.m., so there was no one at the firehouse. And then the person that was supposed to be there was not there.
It's not very, safe.
No. Fires don't happen before 8 a.m., didn't you know?
So 7 hours later is when the fire department actually arrived at the house.
I'd have been absolutely livid.
Too late to do more than sift through the smouldering remains of the Sodder home. That Christmas Day, the local fire chief, F.J. Morris, surveyed the ash and rubble. No human remains were found, and Morris offered a chilling explanation that the fire had burned so hot that it had actually completely cremated the bodies of the missing children. A state inspector attributed the blaze to faulty wiring, and within days, the coroner issued death certificates for all 5 children.
Oh my God.
Yeah. George, too grief-stricken to look at the blackened debris, covered the site with dirt, creating a makeshift memorial for the children he believed were gone forever. But Jenny Sodder wasn't so sure. There was an unanswered question that were just eating at her. Could a fire truly leave no trace of her children? It wasn't a kiln, it was a house fire. Not a kiln. You know, it wasn't like a kiln. It wasn't a crematorium or a kiln, it was a house fire. It's not like a clay oven made to get in the thousands.
Yeah.
You know. So she began conducting experiments of her own, burning animal bones in an attempt to replicate the conditions of the blaze. Each time, the bones remained charred but intact. Conversations with experts deepened her doubts. A crematorium operator told her that it took temperatures of over 2,000 degrees sustained for hours to completely destroy human bones. The Sodder fire, by contrast, had burned for less than an hour before the house was reduced to rubble, which then it kind of cut the fire out and it was just smouldering after that.
Yeah.
Other details didn't add up. The family's telephone lines, initially believed to have been destroyed by the fire, turned out to have been deliberately cut.
Oh, well, there you go. That's suspicious as fuck.
Yeah. Witnesses came forward with eerie accounts. One claimed to have seen the missing children watching the fire from a passing car. Another, a waitress at a tourist shop, swore that she had served the children breakfast that morning, the morning after the fire.
After the fire?
Like Christmas Day morning.
Yeah.
A woman in Charleston, West Virginia, claimed to have seen the children in a hotel room, accompanied by 2 men and 2 women of Italian descent. The adults, she said, were hostile and refused to let her speak to the children. Even the circumstances leading up to the fire took on a sinister tone. Months earlier, a stranger had appeared at the Sodder home, warning George that his fuse boxes would cause a fire someday. Quote, shortly after, another man tried to sell him life insurance, growing furious when George declined. He says, your house is going up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed, is what apparently he threatened as he was leaving.
All over.
Fucking hell.
I mean, that doesn't feel right.
No. Not very professional.
I don't think I'd ever not take a threat to my children seriously, if you know what I mean.
No.
I know that it was different times, but still. George just kind of brushed it off and dismissed the man as a crank, so like as a crazy person, and that they were just empty threats because he needed to reach his sales thing for the week or whatever. He was just not taking the guy seriously. As the months turned into years, George and Jenny refused to accept the official narrative. In 1947, they wrote to the FBI begging for help. Director J. Edgar Hoover, brilliant name, fucking love the name Edgar. Hoover expressed sympathy but declared the case outside federal jurisdiction. Undeterred, the Sodders hired private investigator C.C. Tinsley. Tinsley's findings cast further suspicion on the fire. He discovered that the insurance salesman who had threatened George was part of the coroner's jury. The coroner that was so desperate to sign all the death certificates.
Right.
And the coroner that declared the fire accidental. Stranger still, Tinsley declared that the fire chief Morris had confessed to burying a human organ in the ashes, an organ that turned out to be cow's liver. So I think they placed an organ in the ashes to try and prove that there was, you know, the children were there. But it ended up to be a cow's liver.
So this is bizarre. Is the whole town in on this? Like, The coroner's in on it. The chief of police is in on it. Yeah?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is pushed on by rumours as well in the small town.
Why wasn't there anybody at the firehouse? That's suspicious fuck.
I think it was 1945 and it was Christmas and people were like, there won't be a fire tonight.
It's very weird.
The Sodders went back to the place and looked over and tried to excavate and look for evidence themselves. So their excavations uncovered additional anomalies. A forensic pathologist from Washington, D.C. found a set of vertebrae in the dirt that George had used to fill the basement. The bones, however, didn't belong to any of the missing children. It's like they weren't in the fire at all.
They were just in the dirt.
They predated the fire. That happened to be in the dirt that George covered the house with. Yeah. Over the years, the Sodders pursued every lead, no matter how faint. George crisscrossed the country, following tips about children resembling his own. One day, a photograph of a New York schoolgirl caught his eye. Convinced it was Betty, he drove to Manhattan, only to be turned away by her parents. Another lead brought him to Kentucky, where a cryptic letter contained a photo of a young man bearing a striking resemblance to his son Louis. On the back was scrawled, Louis Sodder. I love brother Frankie. Lil boys A90132 or 35. Almost as if it's like a trafficking number. That's what it made me think of.
Yeah.
That kind of made me think of that, which is also horrific.
That's horrendous.
George hired yet another private detective who vanished without a trace after taking the case. Poor guy, though. I mean, I bet you see your children everywhere. It must have been horrific.
Yeah. It would drive you insane.
Absolutely insane. That's why they decided to keep the children's faces in everyone's memories. That's why they put this billboard. So the billboard along Route 16 became both a plea for help and a monument to their loss. It showed the 5 children frozen in time, their youthful faces staring out at passing cars, and it offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to their recovery. The Sodders' surviving children continued the search into adulthood, piecing together theories of their own. Some believed the mafia had abducted the children as revenge for George's political outspokenness. Others suspected a human trafficking ring. Perhaps they theorized the children had survived, but stayed silent to protect their family from further harm. Jenny Sodder lived the rest of her life cloaked in mourning, dressing in black until her death in 1989. After her death, the billboard was removed, marking the end of an era. Yet the mystery lingered, unsolved and unyielding. What were you going to say, Emma?
It's just horrible. It's horrendous. I can't imagine that woman's life must have been just
awful.
Just one living hell, day after day after day.
Yeah. The youngest Sodder child, Sylvia, who had been just 2 years old on that fateful night, grew up haunted by the fire's unanswered question. Until her death in 2021, she clung on to the belief that her siblings had somehow escaped the flames. Today, the story of the Sodder children endures as one of America's most perplexing mysteries. It's a tale of grief and resilience, of questions that defy time, and answers that refuse to come. Somewhere in the echoes of that quiet Appalachian town, the truth remains hidden, waiting to be unearthed. And that's my story for today.
I just wish we knew the answer.
That's horrible.
Yeah. I don't like cold cases very much.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. That's just horrendous. I think it's difficult because you've got to kind of think what was gossip and what wasn't. But to me, it sounds like that was just one massive setup to...
Oh, 100%.
You think so as well, Tash, to abduct the kids?
Definitely. How is it not?
Yeah. But that just makes me feel sick.
But then there's also the side that it was a small town. They weren't prepared for like a fire investigation. And George buried the house.
Well, and it was like 1949. Was
yeah,
it?
1945 when it happened, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like forensics wasn't as good as what it is now. Fire forensics.
Yeah, but they would have found something. They would have found something. There's five kids?
Yeah.
That have gone missing? They would have, if they were in the fire, they would have at least found 8.
They weren't in the fire. There's no way.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
There ain't no way.
I think they would have found something.
Yeah, exactly. They would have found a bone.
And why did the fire chief put a random organ there?
So weird.
It's weird as hell.
I find that difficult to believe unless there was like a child trafficking ring and he was part of it.
Yeah.
Or he's been paid off by somebody, who's kidnapped, I don't know, mafia or something, who knows?
I don't know, but you've got to be some kind of piece of shit to go along with that.
Yeah. Money talks, though, babe.
Only so far if you've got like a shred of decency.
There's paedophiles everywhere. All you needed is the fire chief to be a pedo.
Yeah.
And then like the coroner, I don't know, then you've got it. I'm not saying, obviously, alleged, that's not what I'm saying, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're only hypothesizing.
Yeah. And with everything going on in Hollywood at the minute, and what has been going on forever.
Oh.
I've told you this before, they're all fucking wrong-uns in Hollywood. All of them.
You know, like, it all came out, 10 years ago when the whole Jimmy Savile thing happened, that we realised, like, almost an entire generation of, like, our parents' age are all flipping paedophiles. And then it's just every generation has their group.
It is terrifying because, like, on social media, I see quite a lot of, the groups of just civilian people that trap predators.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go and meet the predators.
And they're all so normal guys. Yeah.
And then they make them ring their wives and say, oh, I've just been caught and I was here to try and meet a 13-year-old boy. And it's like, what kind of fucking world are we living in?
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Because you don't think of it of being such a common thing, but you go through these pages and it's predator after predator after predator after predator. They're everywhere.
Did you used to go on like ASL forums when you were younger? Massively full of pedos in there.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous. Why I was on there with no supervision baffles me.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
No, ridiculous. And I'd be like, yeah, I used to say that I was older than I was as well, which didn't help.
Yeah,
everyone did it though. Oh, yeah. I remember once I gave my phone number out to someone because I pretended I was American. An American girl called Brittany. Yeah. And he rang me and he was a full-grown man on the end of the phone. He was like, oh, your voice is so sexy. And I was like, what am I doing? And then I texted him and I was like, I'm 13, please don't do that again. I'm sorry. And he didn't message me after that, but he could have been like a full-on pedophile.
Well, yeah.
So bad. I've never told anyone that.
I know you've just told like 250 people, so
regardless of whether you were 25 or 13, he was pretending to be a girl. So that's weird in itself.
No, he wasn't. Was he?
No, he was pretending to be a guy, but I think he was supposed to be 17. But it was a full-on
did you
man.
say you were Brittany from America?
I said that I was a girl called Brittany who was American. And when I answered, so cringe. When I answered the phone, I was like, hello?
Oh, Becky. Oh, I've got secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, no. But then I was like, thank you. He was like, your voice is so nice. I was like, thank you. I didn't know how to do the accent. It was terrible. Oh. I was 13, which really, you should be old enough to know what you're doing. Yeah, I was so stupidly young and stupid. So
I don't think you should be old
stupid.
enough to know what you're doing at 13.
Becky, we didn't grow up in the same world. I know I'm a bit older than you guys, but still, we're still like millennials, right?
Yeah, this is before I moved to France. It was like just before I moved to France. I was barely 13. I must have been about like 12, 13, something like that.
I'm not saying the world was a safer place, but we just didn't know how fucked up it was.
Oh,
didn't know.
Yeah, we just didn't know.
So, you weren't stupid because, why would you think that there would be a chat room full of like 50-year-old men trying to talk to teenage
girls? Is it
girls?
talked about a lot in France, like stuff like that? Like internet safety and stuff, like Esme has talks on it all the
like,
time at secondary
the kids
school.
at school, they have like tests and stuff on internet safety and like their knowledge of internet apps and stuff. It's on like these little questionnaire things that they have to do to see. You have to know about stuff, and it's asked questions like if you post on. It showed you like a screenshot of them about to post a photo and it said public, but like quite small at the bottom, and you can put it on private, public, or just friends. It'd say, I'm about to post this photo for just my friends. Is this right? And then it's just like things like that. I don't know why they had to do that. So much to do with school. But I thought it was quite good.
But that's really good. Yeah, it's really
good. It kind of shows, And also when we were growing up, camera phones were shit, and thank God they were, because like everything can be filmed now. When we used to get drunk in random guys' basements,
we did used to do that, but
yeah, same.
But that wasn't at 13.
Not 13.
No, I was probably
still young.
14, 15.
15 maximum.
Was doing that kind of shit. Yeah.
Oh, it is bad, isn't it?
It is bad.
Can we stop?
But I used to think I was so grown up. I was like, I'm so mature.
Exactly. And I thought exactly the same thing. And all these older boys are paying attention to me. And now I think about it, I'm like, actually,
rank.
That was really fucked up.
Rank. Why were they interested in me? Why?
Exactly.
Why?
But yeah. Anyway. That reminds me, have you seen the Netflix documentary about that little girl, John Bonet?
John Bonet Ramsey. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I
mean, I know the story. But no, I haven't watched it. Is it good? Have you watched it?
I couldn't watch it.
I know that they show photos of her neck and stuff, and I don't like seeing children like that.
Oh, I think I've heard about this. Like the images are really graphic, aren't they?
Yeah. You can see, it's a bit like the boy in the box. You can see, I mean, I don't think they show her full face, but they show her profile.
It's just what happened to her and how people can do that to children. And I just couldn't watch it because she was 6 and, my little one is 6 and it just horrified me. And I was like, actually, no, I'm not going to watch this. I don't want to. I don't have to. I'm not going to.
No, I don't think I'm not. I started watching it. I was like, no, I'm not up for this at the minute. I'm just going to cry. I cried at flipping, what's it called in English? That film with the emotions, joy and sadness. And anxiety.
Inside Out.
Inside Out 2 made me cry, and it also gave me a panic attack. When she had a panic attack.
Oh, it's because you're too empathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riley, there's a similarity with Caitlin, and the same age. But anyway, I was like, no, I'm not. And with that is it Gabriel Fernandez or Gabriel Hernandez? That's horrific as well. I watched that ages ago. I couldn't be watching with that now.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that, but I will give that one a miss as well.
Yeah, if you can't deal with Jean Bonnet, you're not going to be dealing with Gabriel. It's horrible.
No, I can't deal with kiddies at all.
No.
Do you want some spooky stuff to cheer us all up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Will it cheer us
So-
up, though? Will it?
I mean, bit of demonic activity and stuff, you know.
My favourite.
Tash is like, ooh, yeah. All right. So it's 1930s. Europe's on the edge, and for Havala, a young Jewish woman in Poland, things are getting, let's just say, a bit tense. Whispers of war and anti-Semitism are creeping into everyday life. Havala turns to the spiritual side, a Ouija board to be more precise, for comfort. It's not that weird. Jewish mysticism has always leaned into the whole talking to the beyond thing. And for a while, it's all good. Havala's convinced she's chatting with her loved ones, feeling this warm, protective energy from the other side. But because nothing can ever stay cozy for too long, one day the vibes shift. Big time. The planchette starts moving differently, faster, stronger, and Havala realizes that she's no longer talking to her family. This spirit is not here to play nice. It starts asking her for stuff, rituals, chants, anything to set it free. And Havala, being no fool, starts to think, this sounds like a Dybbuk. Now, if you're not up on your Jewish folklore,
I am not.
a Dybbuk is basically a spiritual squatter. It's a restless, usually pissed off soul that didn't quite make it to the afterlife, or a demon who wants to possess the living. Not ideal.
No. Sounds like a bit of a loser as well, as demons go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Didn't quite make it to the afterlife, you know what I mean?
Come on, Han. Try
I'm in
harder.
between jobs, okay? In between worlds.
So Havala isn't about to let this thing latch on to her, so she performs an ancient ritual to trap it instead. And where does she stick it? A plain old wine cabinet. She seals the box, says a few prayers, and hides it away, determined never to let it see the light of day again.
I can see where this is going.
But like, do you think we'll see the box again,
I
Tash?
think we'll see it. I think
Maybe.
that wine cabinet will be too tempting for somebody.
Mm-hmm. But life isn't about to get any easier for Havala. The war erupts, and like so many others, she's sent to a concentration camp.
Oh, bless her.
I know, horrible. But she survives. When she's finally freed, she makes her way to the United States, carrying little more than the clothes on her back and, yep, you guessed it,
The wine.
the wine cabinet. It's one of the only possessions she had left, a silent reminder of her past, her survival, and the terrifying power she believes is still trapped inside. Fast forward to 2003, so that's a big, big leap.
Yeah, a bit of a jump there.
What happened in between?
I mean, she lived her life. She had a family. All's good. Havala now has passed away at the amazing age of 103.
Flipping
Oh.
heck.
Yeah.
Go Havala.
She'd lived a long life filled with children and grandchildren who are
Bless
now
her.
holding an estate sale to sell some of the things Havala had collected over the years.
Oh, no.
The wine box was out with all the other things, all innocent and normal looking. It caught the eye of a man called Kevin Mannis, who just so happened to own an antique shop. He bought the wine cabinet and a few other of Havala's items. One of her grandchildren approached him saying, "Oh, you bought the Dybbuk box." Kevin had never heard this term before and inquired as to what it meant.
Nor had I, Kevin.
The granddaughter said she didn't really know. All she did know was that they had always been banned from touching it. It had never been moved from her grandmother's sewing room, who had even asked to be buried with it. The family had to go against her wishes, as for some religious reason she could not be buried with any possessions.
Oh.
I was going to say, like, note to self. If someone says, oh, that's a Dybbuk box, don't think, oh, it's like, got bits and bobs in it. I'll be like, nah, I'm not buying that now.
Yeah,
Dybbuk box is not good.
not the best. Kevin asked if they wanted to keep it. After all, it sounded like it had meant a great deal to Havala. But the granddaughter refused. Kevin insisted, saying they could even keep the money if they wanted, but the granddaughter became almost angry, saying, "Look, you bought it, the deal is done, it's yours now," and she walked away. Kevin thought this behaviour was really odd, but just put it down to grief and took his items straight to his shop, leaving them in the basement as he went out to run more errands. About 30 minutes later, his employee called him. She was sobbing down the phone that someone was in the shop. They somehow set off the anti-burglary alarm, and said employee was now trapped inside the shop, with who she presumed to be a thief. She hadn't seen anyone, but she could hear noises coming from the basement, like lots of glasses smashing. Kevin rushed back over to the shop and freed his employee, who left the shop, never to return. He then went to inspect the basement. There was only one way in and out, so if anyone had broken in, they were definitely still there. He found no one. All he found were the 4 neon ceiling lights smashed to smithereens and a very strong smell of cat pee.
Ooh.
Kevin's mum's birthday was coming up, and he decided that she would love the wine cabinet once he'd refurbished it, of course.
No, Kevin.
And so he got to work. First thing to do was to open it. He managed without too much hassle, but what he found inside was beyond weird. There was a granite statue with Hebrew writing on it, a black cast-iron candlestick, a dried rosebud, and 2 locks of hair from different people. There was also a Hebrew inscription carved into the back of the box. Now, I'm no Einstein or anything, but for me that would have set off alarm bells. That all sounds very witchy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Add that to the story that the granddaughter had told him, and I would be sealing that thing back up, putting it in the corner and leaving it there never to be touched again. Yeah. But not Kevin. No, Kevin still thought that once he removed the weird ritualistic items and gave it a good clean, it would still make a lovely gift for his mum. Come on, Kevin.
Come on, Kev.
Kevin.
His mother's birthday came, and the two were meeting up for lunch. She met him in his shop, and he gave her the cabinet. She did indeed think it was lovely and seemed very pleased with it. Kevin just had to make a quick call before they left. So his mum had a look at her beautiful new wine cabinet. 2 minutes later, Kevin's new employee began to scream for him to come quickly. He did, and found his mother slumped on her chair, unable to move, unable to speak, tears streaming down her face. She'd had a stroke, and was immediately rushed to hospital. The next day, even though her speech was yet to return, she pointed at letters on the alphabet to communicate. She spelt out, "No gift." Kevin thought she had forgotten the wine cabinet and chuckled as he reassured her he had indeed given her a gift and that she could take it home with her when she got out. She then spelled out, "Hate gift." And indeed, once she had made a great recovery and was able to speak again, she explains that as she'd opened the cabinet's doors, a whoosh of air had blown out and she had felt an unnerving sense of evil come out of it. And then, of course, she had the stroke. She said she didn't want the box anywhere near her. And so, did he burn it? Because that's what we'd all do. Bury it in a deep hole? Chuck it down a well? No. Kevin gave it to his sister instead.
Oh, go on, Kev. Well done, mate. Do you know what, Kev? That was the right thing to do.
Did he dislike his sister?
No, I don't think so. Kevin's sister kept the box for about a week and returned it, saying the doors kept flying open on their own and it freaked her out. Kevin had never had any trouble with the doors, so he didn't understand what she was talking about. Either way, the box had made it back into his shop once more. Now, surely he's going to get rid of this sodding box, right?
I don't think Kevin is.
Nope.
Kevin's going to give it to his auntie.
Not this time. Instead, he gives it to his brother.
Ah. Of course.
His brother manages to keep the box even less time, just 3 days. He thought it smelt nice like jasmines, but his wife couldn't stand it, saying it smelt like cat pee. And they both found the cabinet to be eerie and found themselves uncomfortable around it. At this point, I'm not even going to suggest that Kevin gets rid of the cabinet because we all know he won't, and he doesn't. He puts it pride of place in his shop and sells it to an elderly couple. 3 days later, Kevin discovered the box sat outside his shop with just a note attached that said, "This has a bad darkness attached to it." They hadn't even brought it inside. They hadn't asked for their money back or anything. That tells me their experience wasn't great with this problematic wine cabinet.
I love that it was the old way of saying this has bad vibes.
Kevin had no idea what people's problem was with this nice piece of furniture.
Why does he keep giving it away then? Why doesn't he just keep it himself?
Well, that's what he's going to do. He decided that he would bring it home with him. That very night, he started having nightmares. He'd be walking along with someone he knew, and as he looked into their eyes, he would catch a glimpse of something evil. In his dream, as he realised that his friend was not his friend, they would transform into a hideous, demonic hag and attack him. He had this same nightmare over and over every single night. But that wasn't the most disturbing thing. When he woke up from the terror, his body would be covered in welts and bruises from the beating he had taken in his sleep. One evening, Kevin had his siblings over for dinner, and as the evening passed and maybe too many drinks were had, everyone decided to stay over. In the morning, the family sat round the breakfast table and his sister began saying what a terrible night's sleep she'd had, that she had dreamt of being attacked by a terrifying-looking old woman. Kevin's heart sank as she described the woman that he himself saw every night. It sank even further as he saw the faces of his brother and sister-in-law who had also had the exact same dream. Kevin was so freaked out by this that he finally got rid of the cabinet, right? That's what you're all thinking. Nope. Still not.
God, Kevin!
He decided he was going to gift it to his girlfriend.
Couldn't write it, could ya?
Well, because he thinks, it's all right. I don't know. He obviously knows it's not all right, but anyway, he gives it to his girlfriend. Very romantic. Here, darling, have this possessed, potentially murderous wine cabinet.
Yay!
She kept it for only a brief time before returning it to Kevin and asking him to get rid of it. Why on earth would she do that, Kevin, eh? Well, she too began having the exact same nightmares the minute that cabinet entered her home, and she felt extremely unnerved by its presence. Almost like a theme,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's the cabinet.
Bit of a coincidence, if not, isn't it?
Somewhat.
Kevin took the cabinet back to his own home, and shocker, he began to experience shadow people stalking him out of the corner of his eye. When other people who came over began seeing them too, it was too much. He removed the cabinet and put it in a storage unit next to his house. But that same night, he was awoken by the sound of a fire alarm, and as he rushed to the unit and opened the doors, there was nothing amiss. No fire, no smoke, just a wine cabinet and an eye-watering stench of cat pee. He brought the box back inside and began doing some research on the internet. He eventually became aware of the actual meaning of a Dybbuk in the Jewish culture. And it's what I said before, an evil spirit that attaches itself to the living. So things began to make a bit more sense to Kevin. The strangely behaved granddaughter, no one wanting to keep the box for very long, and mainly everything he had experienced since having it in or near his home. Kevin finally decided he needed to drop the box into a deep canyon so that no one could ever be harmed by its evil again. Right?
I mean, great idea, Kev.
No, that's not what he did.
Oh.
What? What?
Instead, he put it for sale on eBay.
Kevin.
Now, I will give him credit for giving the box an honest description. He described it as being paranormal and hoped that someone with more knowledge than himself bought it. Sadly, Joseph Nitsky, a college student, had zero knowledge about the paranormal or Dybbuks, but thought it would be fun to buy the haunted box to see what would happen.
We all did things for banter in college.
Well, I can tell you, Joseph, that nothing good is going to happen.
No.
Almost instantly, Nitsky and his roommates noticed that electronic devices in their apartment began to fail unexpectedly. Joseph's laptop crashed repeatedly, even after having repairs. Phones experienced frequent interference or dropped calls when near the box. The apartment's lights would flicker unpredictably, even though there were no electrical issues reported in the building. Joseph and his roommates experienced vivid, recurring nightmares eerily similar to those Kevin Mannis described.
I mean, we could have predicted this.
We could. They reported dreams of an old woman with sunken eyes and a menacing presence. In some dreams, a figure would appear standing over them or chasing them. A foul smell began to emanate from the box. What do you think it smelled like?
Cat pee.
Cat piss.
Yeah, it smelled like cat piss. Nitsky and his roommates started feeling constantly tired, with some reporting minor illnesses they couldn't explain, and Nitsky himself actually started losing his hair. There were bouts of irritability and unease amongst the roommates, which they attributed to the oppressive energy of the box. The disturbance escalated to the point that Joseph decided he couldn't keep the box. He believed that whatever was associated with it was evil and affecting him and his roommates' lives. He listed it back on eBay!
Way.
Recounting his own experiences in the description and warning potential buyers about its dangerous nature. This now brings us to the next owner, Jason Haxton, a museum curator with a taste for the strange and unusual. So he bought the Dybbuk box in 2004 after reading about its cursed reputation. At first he thought he could handle it, being a historian with a knack for artifacts, but the box had other plans. Haxton's health took a nosedive almost immediately. He broke out in hives, started coughing up blood, and even felt like an invisible hand was choking the life out of him. Electronics around the box went haywire, strange orbs of light floated through his home, and shadowy figures began to appear. To top it all off, he was plagued by vivid nightmares of a dark, menacing presence. Shocking. Who would think? Who would have thought?
Who'd have thunk it?
Not me.
Not one to back down, Haxton consulted rabbis, researchers, and paranormal experts, eventually sealing the box in a gold-lined acacia wood case and burying it. Well done, Mr. Haxton.
That's what needed to happen from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Maybe shouldn't have sold that.
Yeah.
Knobs.
No.
Yeah.
He even wrote a book about the ordeal, The Dybbuk Box, which inspired the 2012 horror flick, The Possession. However, this isn't the end of the Dybbuk Box.
Ooh.
In 2016, Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures bought the box from Jason for an undisclosed price for his haunted museum in Las Vegas. So, do you all know who Zach Bagans is?
No, but...
He's that, really douchey guy that goes on the ghost hunts, and he's always, really provoking.
You're just describing every single ghost presenter on ghost films. They're all exactly the same.
But he's very much, he has that persona anyway, and whether it's his real personality or not, I don't know, but that's his persona.
That they fluff it up for the cameras.
They definitely fluff it up. But he's got a haunted museum in Las Vegas, so he heard about the Dybbuk box and he was like, yo, Jason, I want that box. Yeah. And Jason was like, give me enough money and I'll dig it up. And Zach did. So Zach, being ever the showman, of course, had to open the box.
Ooh.
When he did, he heard a child's voice say, Kevin, and evil. Ooh. I gave myself the creeps there.
Yeah.
I've just got a cold shiver.
From inside the box, If you visit his museum, you have to sign a waiver before being allowed to see the now infamous Dybbuk box.
Ooh.
In 2018, Post Malone, the rapper, visited Zach's museum. And as Zach placed his hand on the box, Post Malone touched his shoulder. This contact is thought to have been enough for the rapper to be cursed. And as a result, within a few months, he had almost been in a plane crash, as both tyres blew on the plane he was on. He was in a really bad car accident, and he was burgled.
Oh, shit.
Oh, Posty.
And so, the Dybbuk box sits in Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, a centerpiece of paranormal lore and a warning to those who dare to challenge the unknown. Its journey from Kevin Manis to Joseph Nitsky, Jason Haxton, and finally to Bagans is littered with chaos, nightmares, and a chilling sense of darkness. Whether you truly believe it's cursed or just a spooky artifact with an exaggerated reputation, one thing's for sure, this little wine cabinet has earned its place as one of the most infamous haunted objects in history. So if you ever find yourself face to face with the Dybbuk box, remember, some things are best left unopened.
I agree.
And there you go, the Dybbuk box.
I keep looking at wine cabinets, but I think I'm not gonna.
I mean, you should be fine if it hasn't got a Dybbuk in it.
How will I know?
Ask.
Wow, if you buy it on eBay and it says this is a Dybbuk box,
Maybe don't buy that one.
I wouldn't go
True
for
bet.
it.
Yeah.
Actually, hang on, let me have a look. eBay.
No, don't. Why are you Googling shit like that?
I want to see if there's any for sale.
What, wine cabinets or Dybbuk boxes?
Dybbuk box.
Dybbuk box.
Haunted Dybbuk box. Oh, there is. There is. There's an urn with a Dybbuk in it.
How much?
£254, and it's from.
It's a steal, really, isn't it?
It's from South
I
Africa.
think you should just buy one of those mice ornaments for your tree instead.
Yeah.
So desperate for one.
Oh God, there's haunted dolls and everything. No, thank you.
Get it off
No.
your computer.
It's gone. It is gone.
Because if not, it'll curse this recorder and it'll somehow not record or something. Something will go wrong.
It is weird every time I talk about a curse that it all goes terribly wrong.
Terrible.
Is it weird?
I don't know. It is a bit weird.
Some would say fitting.
Anyway, should we go? I'm tired.
Yeah, let's go. So just to let you all know, this is our last recording as a trio before the festivities. We may or may not have a little something coming your way.
Maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? So look out for that. In the meantime, we wish you all a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and whatever you may celebrate this time of year. And we look forward to hearing from you and bringing you more spooky stuff in the new year.
You really didn't know where any of that was going, did you? You were just like, I'm just saying stuff.
I was trying to be really informative.
I think you did well. I think it's because I know you. I know you, so I could see you were like, and we're going to hear from you, and
we
all
want
that.
to hear from you. We want you to hear from us. We want you to rate and subscribe and all that jazz. So yeah.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year. We shall be back beginning of January at some point.
Yes.
At some point. Let's not put a doubt on it, because
No, you never know.
It's us after all.
You never know.
So in the meantime, guys, stay safe.
Don't kill people.
And keep it weird.
Bye.
Keep it weird. Keep it weird. Keep it weird. Keep it weird. Hey, just keep it weird. Just keep it weird.
Go off the red nose. Ranger.
Bye, guys.